up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. A while back, we were at Hocking Hill State Park in Ohio. We had our kitchen gray tank start to leak. I noticed it was leaking, and I tried to do some temporary repairs on it. I used some Weld Plastic Weld. So I wasn't sure how long the Weld Plastic Weld was going to hold up, and it worked for a while temporarily, but we've noticed that now if our gray tank gets like over half full, we're starting to get a drip again out of that kitchen gray tank. So I'm gonna try something. I did some research on the video that I showed you how we repaired that gray tank. Had a lot of great comments, great suggestions from viewers, and one suggestion that I got was to take a soldering iron and try to basically weld the plastic back together. It's a very, 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 very tiny crack. So what I'm going to do right now is try to get that Weld Plastic Weld off the bottom of the tank, and I picked up a it's a soldering iron, but it was actually listed as a wood burning kit, but it comes with all the different soldering tips. So wood burning kit, soldering iron, it's pretty much the same thing. I've got this flat tip on here. This is called a fuse tip. So I've got this, looks like I should be able to get in there, and all I'm going to do is get this nice and hot, and then I'm just going to put that on the plastic and try to gently try to seal that crack up using the plastic from the tank. So we'll see how that works. You know, worst case scenario, it'll be exactly like it is now. And I've got some more Weld Plastic Weld I could throw on it, but I'd really like a little more permanent solution. If this was a big crack, I wouldn't try this, but this crack is so tiny. I mean, it is a hairline crack, but it's on the bottom of the tank. So I think what's happened is from that tank flexing, having the water in it and draining it over and over, and the tank flexing, I think it's just kind of worked that JB Weld loose a little bit, or giving it a little avenue for some water to get out. So I'm gonna slide under the back of it, see if this will do the trick. Alright, so first we're gonna open up my little access door. And you can see, got a few drips. I mean, again, you know, it's not like pouring out of there, and it's definitely better than what it was, but it's still leaking. So there's my repair. I just pulled a little bit of it off, but you can see that it kind of is peeling off on its own now even. So it looks like maybe it just kind of worked itself loose, or it didn't have a good bond on there. So I'm going to peel that off, and I'll try to show you the crack. So there's the crack right here. You know, it's just a hairline crack, but it's definitely leaking when we get some pressure on it. So let's see if we can fix it. Alright, so there's kind of our finished product, what the weld looks like. Yeah, you can see it just kind of melts that plastic around. I just took the flat part of that bit, so I just got it really hot. I took the flat part right here, and then just kind of rubbed it around gently until it kind of, you can see that plastic start to melt, and then just spread it out, just like you would if you were welding something. Just kind of go back and forth, and just kind of put that all back together. So I'm gonna have Erica go inside now and turn the water on, and we'll see what happens. All right, so we'll see how that holds up. I feel a lot better about that repair than I did using the Weld Plastic Weld. You can see there when I started peeling that plastic weld off, it just came right off. I mean, it wasn't really bonded to the tank very well. So this feels like more of a permanent fix. I was real careful not to get the plastic too hot where it melted through the tank. Obviously that would be catastrophic. Definitely don't want to do that. But after I ran some water in it, there was a little tiny pinhole that was still dripping, so I kind of ran back over that spot, and you know, it doesn't seem like it's leaking now. So I'm not going to add any water to that. I'm going to let that cool, make sure that plastic is completely cooled off. I don't know how heating that plastic up really affects the integrity of the tank right there. It may crack back open, and if it does, then we'll make some other kind of repair. But I'm going to do every single thing that I can possibly do to fix that without having to replace that tank. That's something that I 100% don't want to get into, unless it's just, unless it's just absolutely necessary. So I'll update you guys on the situation of that tank after we put some water in it here in a bit. But for now, keep our fingers crossed. So that didn't really work too good. Still leaking. So went down today and I got some flex tape. So I'm going to slide under there. This stuff has some really good reviews. There's people left some comments on our last video about repairing the tank that suggested it. So I'm going to try going to there. I'm going to try to clean it all off, dry it off, slap this on there, and we'll give the flex tape a shot. This is a big wide 4-inch tape, so I should be able to put a big piece on there. I'm going to rub it in real good and hopefully get us by, because the very last thing I want to do right now is try to replace this gray tank. That's not something that's really an option for us right now. Not something I want to get into, so I'm going to try every single thing on the market to try to fix this tank before we go down that route. There we go. Still just tiny drip. So there's the finished product after I got the tape on there. It's definitely not leaking. It's not running out anywhere. I don't know how long that'll actually hold, so I'm thinking about taking my Weld Plastic Weld now and going around the edges and just kind of seal this in there a little bit better. So see if that'll keep it stopped for a while. Alright, so there's our finished product for now anyway. Took some of my plastic weld and just went all around the edges of that flex tape. So it was leaking when I started. It's not leaking now. I got these air bubbles in here that I hope won't end up being an issue. It was a tiny hairline crack, so I'm really hoping that this seals it up for a little bit. Alright, so it's been all night long. We ran water in the gray tank, did dishes, so there's probably, I don't know how many gallons are probably in there, but ran the water in the sink, dishes last night, breakfast dishes this morning, so there should be more than enough water in here to see if this thing's going to leak. You saw how it was dripping yesterday. When I popped that flex seal over the top of it, it stopped, and then I went ahead and added a little bit of the Weld Plastic Weld epoxy around the edges of that flex seal tape, just to kind of help it adhere. It didn't seem like it was peeling off, but I had the Weld, so I figured it can't hurt. It's been a little over 24 hours since I did the repair, and this thing is bone dry, not wet at all. So really happy with this so far. I hope it holds up for us. And the flex seal tape is not going to be as rigid. It's going to allow that tank to move and expand and when it has water in it, and I think that's really going to be the trick. So here's what it looks like. Alright, so there we go. You can see it's bubbled up, but there's no water in there. There's a ridge that runs along there, and then having to push it up into here kind of made it fold over. So that's why I took my plastic weld and went around the edge and kind of up into here, just to kind of help adhere that a little bit better. And it really seems to be doing the trick. This thing is this thing is bone dry. So I'm gonna just close my door back up. I'll seal this back up, and you know, the good thing is with this being cut, if that tank starts to leak, it drips out of my little corner hole here. So I know right away that thing is leaking. So I won't seal that up right away because I want to be able to keep an eye on it. Man, I think that's gonna do the trick. You know, if it doesn't, well, then we'll have another video on taking the Flex Seal off and trying something different, because I'm not replacing this tank for just a tiny leak. Alright, appreciate you guys watching. I'll catch you guys down the road, hopefully with no leaks.